What's up, YouTube? My name is Frederica Michelle and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be giving you 10 tips for recovering from bankruptcy and bad credit. If you're interested in hearing those tips, stay tuned. Full disclosure, I am not a financial or professional expert. However, I am speaking from my own personal experience of having to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy a couple of years ago and having to work through to rebuild my credit. First of all, I'll discuss the two types of bankruptcy very briefly. There's Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which allows you to fully discharge certain debts to include medical and credit card debt and personal loans. Then you have Chapter 13, which allows you to work with your creditors to repay your debts through a court-ordered repayment system. Basically, that repayment plan will last between 3 to 5 years. It's important to know that there are certain types of debts that cannot be discharged through bankruptcy, and those debts can include mortgages, auto loans, tax liens, child support and alimony, and student loans. Now, to get into the 10 tips, first tip is to pull and go through your credit reports. You want to make sure that every bit of information that is in your credit report is being reported to the bureaus accurately. That would include the spelling of your name, your date of birth, all past and present addresses, as well as all past and present places of employment. You want to make sure that any accounts that are on your credit report are being reported accurately. If you have accounts that were included in your bankruptcy, if they're still listed on your credit report, they should say that that debt has been included in a bankruptcy proceeding. If it does not, you would want to dispute that immediately with the credit bureaus. Now, it'll take at least 30 days for the credit bureau to investigate and correct this information. So I would advise after that 30-day period that you repull your credit report and make sure that those discrepancies have been updated. Tip number 2, pay all bills on time, including utilities. It is very important when you're trying to rebuild your credit to make sure that everything is paid on time. There are new features with the credit bureaus now where they even take into consideration your utility bills and whether or not they're paid on time. So, good rule of thumb, make sure you pay all bills on time to include any revolving debt and all utilities. Tip number 3, keep credit card balances below 30%. To be clear about the 30% rule, that includes the balance of all your credit cards combined. Say, for instance, you have 4 credit cards. You would add up your credit limit on all 4 of those cards, and you would take 30% of that amount. And that is the amount that you want to stay under for all the credit cards across the board. Not 30% for each card, but 30% of all of the cards total together. Keeping under that 30% threshold, you will definitely see an increase in your credit score over time. Tip number 4, put bills on automatic payment to be paid before the due date. That is a really good practice to start so that you can make sure that your payments are processed on time. Say, for instance, your bill is due on the 18th. Schedule it to be paid as early as the 17th or even the 16th. It removes the burden of you having to try to remember which bills are due and when. Number 5, pay for items in cash. If you cannot pay for an item in cash, that means that you cannot afford to buy that item. It is so easy for us to just pull out the credit card and swipe that credit card and pay for purchases. But a good rule of thumb is before you swipe your credit card, if you do not have that amount of the purchase in cash, then you can't afford it. And it's best to just wait. Number 6, track your spending. You have to get into the habit of knowing where every dollar goes. I know we've all had that situation where at the end of the day, we check our account and we have no clue where all the money is going. We have no clue what we've spent it on. When you're trying to recover from bankruptcy or bad credit, you want to get into the habit of tracking your spending. Tracking your spending will help you to identify bad habits that are keeping you at a low credit score. So, track your spending so that you know where every dollar goes and make the necessary adjustments needed. Number 7, remove temptation. Now that we have our smartphones and they do so much of the thinking for us, they're so convenient. We all have My Wallet on our phones. We have our credit card information stored in our favorite shopping sites. We don't even have to look up our information anymore. Good rule of thumb is to remove all of those credit card numbers, debit card numbers, all of that information from your phone. Remove that information from all your shopping sites. Remove it from My Wallet. The purpose of this is to make it inconvenient for you to be able to just shop online anytime you'd like to. So removing that temptation of knowing that the card is just automatically there, it will put you in a situation where you are inconvenienced. By being inconvenienced, sometimes this will sway you from spending unnecessary money. Tip number 8, put automatic savings in place. Automatic savings is basically having a certain amount of money deducted from your paycheck and automatically deposited into a separate savings account. This separate savings account, I would basically suggest that you have it at a totally separate bank branch that you usually use for your regular checking account. Also, do not request a card for access to the savings account. By having a totally separate savings account with no access by card, it makes it more difficult for you to access the money and spend unnecessary money out of your savings. This way, you can focus on building that savings and not even thinking about it. Tip number 9, cut expensive habits. Those habits include the $10 Starbucks coffee every day, going out with your friends and spending $150 on one meal, or eating out for lunch every day. Start making your coffee at home. Start making your lunch at home and taking your lunch to work. Also, cut down on the outings with friends. If they're your friends, they'll understand. Now, to be clear, you don't want to fully restrict yourself because you don't want to build internal resentment of not being able to have a little bit of pleasure. The main objective is to cut unnecessary spending and to be more responsible with your spending. Analyze those things that are most important. Analyze the needs versus the wants. And tip number 10, surround yourself with people doing better than you financially. Study these people and take on their habits. I know we like to say we want to be individuals, we don't want to be like other people, but sometimes, some cases, it is good to emulate other people and copy their habits, especially if these are people who are financially responsible and who make good choices. So, those are the 10 tips that I have for you today. Hopefully you can apply these tips and improve your financial situation. Just know, recovering from bankruptcy and bad credit, though hard, it is not impossible, and it is absolutely entirely doable. By implementing better financial decisions, you'll see your credit recover sooner than you may think. That's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, please remember to click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, bye.